In the quiet town of Raven Hollow, dogs began vanishing, one by one. At first, folks assumed the pets had just wandered off. It happens, right? But as the months passed, and no paw prints were found, no bodies, no answers, people started whispering, until one day a 6-year-old boy looked a man in the eye and said, "I know where they went." Raven Hollow used to be the kind of town where everyone left their doors unlocked, where kids biked to school and folks waved at passing cars. And the dogs? Everyone knew them by name. But that warmth was fading, and it all started with a collar left on a front porch, a golden retriever that didn't return from his usual walk around the block. At first, people chalked it up to bad luck. "Maybe he caught a scent," they said. "He'll be back in the morning." He wasn't. Then another dog disappeared. Then another. 12 dogs in under 8 months. No barking, no broken fences, no signs of struggle. They were just gone. The town began to change. People built taller fences. Some started chaining their dogs at night. Others installed security cameras. But the cameras glitched out every time. The fences didn't help. The silence in Raven Hollow thickened. You could feel it in the streets, in the stores, even in the way neighbors stopped trusting each other. Children stayed indoors. Playgrounds grew quiet. And at night, the air felt heavier, like the whole town was holding its breath. Alex Carter had been a mailman in Raven Hollow for over 2 decades. He knew the town better than most, and he'd watched it unravel, day by day. What bothered him the most wasn't just the disappearances. It was the pattern. Every missing dog had lived within a few blocks of the woods, and when Alex asked around, each family said the same thing. "We last saw them just before sundown." He brought it up to Sheriff Granger more than once. "It's probably coyotes," the sheriff would say with a shrug. But Alex knew coyotes. He knew how dogs reacted when they were near. This wasn't like that. Deep down, Alex knew something else was happening. Then, on a gray November afternoon, everything changed. Alex was delivering letters on Cedar Drive when Liam, a quiet 6-year-old with a tattered blue backpack, walked right up to him. Liam rarely spoke, always polite, always distant. But this time, he stopped Alex in his tracks, looked him straight in the eye and said, "My dog's not lost. I saw where he went. I can show you." Alex crouched, heart thudding. "You saw Scout when?" he asked, careful to keep his voice calm. "Last night," Liam whispered, his gaze drifting toward the trees. "He was following someone." Alex followed the boy's eyes to the tree line behind the houses. For the first time in months, he took a step forward. Something in Liam's voice, quiet, steady, not at all imaginative, felt different. The kid wasn't making this up. Alex adjusted his cap and shouldered his satchel. "All right, kid," he said. "But you stay close. You lead the way." And just like that, they headed toward the woods. Neither of them knew it yet, but that step would unravel a secret far bigger than anyone in Raven Hollow could have imagined. The forest behind Raven Hollow wasn't particularly thick, but it stretched for miles, twisting between farms and forgotten logging roads. People used to hunt out there, but ever since the dogs began vanishing, no one went near it. That day, though, Alex Carter stepped across the threshold, following Liam, the quiet boy who claimed he saw where the missing dogs had gone. The path wasn't marked. It wasn't really a path at all, just the faint imprint of steps across dead leaves and broken grass. Liam walked ahead, his small boots crunching softly, silent, focused. He didn't seem scared. He didn't even glance back. Alex studied the boy closely. No nerves, no excitement, just certainty, like he knew exactly where he was going. 10 minutes in, the trees grew closer together. The air felt colder, still. That kind of stillness that makes you whisper without knowing why. Eventually, they stopped near a narrow creek. The water was shallow and clear, curling between stones. Liam pointed across it. "That's where I saw him," he said. "Scout was standing right there, but he wasn't alone." Alex narrowed his eyes, scanning the trees. "What do you mean?" "There was a man," Liam said quietly. "I couldn't see his face. He didn't notice me. He just walked deeper into the woods, and Scout followed him." A chill raced down Alex's spine. He stepped across the creek, water seeping into his shoes, and searched the ground. Nothing. No paw prints, no footprints, just silence, the kind that didn't feel natural. "How long ago did this happen?" Alex asked. "Last night," Liam whispered. "I heard barking. I snuck out and watched. Only for a minute." Alex nodded. He pulled out his phone to mark the location. No signal. Not even a single bar. That was strange. He'd never had trouble out here before. He slipped the phone back into his pocket. "All right, kid. Let's get you home," Alex said. "But I'm coming back tomorrow. Alone." That night, Alex couldn't sleep. He replayed Liam's voice in his mind. The way he said, he was following someone. No evidence, no video, no tracks. Just a strange quietness. A silence that felt wrong. And yet it felt more real than anything he'd heard in months. The next morning, Alex packed a backpack, flashlight, thermal blanket, compass, extra phone battery. He scribbled a quick note and left it on his kitchen table. Checking the woods. Back before sunset. By early afternoon, he was back at the creek. He scoured the area for hours, marking tree trunks with chalk, carefully mapping his steps. But there was nothing. No fur, no collars, no bones. Just that same eerie silence. Then, at exactly 4:05 p.m., something caught his eye. A thin wire half buried under the leaves. He knelt down. It was metallic, plastic-coated, not an animal trap. Something else. He followed it 10 meters uphill, and there it was. A motion-activated trail camera, blinking red, still active. Alex leaned in. It wasn't normal wildlife gear. This was military grade, unmarked, hidden. That's when the prickling started on the back of his neck. Someone had gone to great lengths to hide this. Someone didn't want to be seen. Alex backed away slowly, careful not to disturb the camera's angle. He turned toward the deeper woods, his breath fogging in the November air. Everything was still. Too still. And for the first time in years, Alex Carter felt like he was being watched. At exactly 4:05 p.m., Alex Carter spotted something strange. A thin, plastic-coated wire buried beneath leaves. Almost invisible. He followed it uphill. 10 meters later, it led to a motion-activated trail camera, blinking red. But this wasn't any ordinary trail cam. It was heavy-duty, military grade. No brand, no markings. Just the cold, steady blink of surveillance. Alex leaned in close, inspecting the casing. That's when the feeling hit him. Hard. He wasn't just in the woods anymore. He was being watched. Alex backed away slowly, eyes scanning the trees. No movement, no sound. Just the same suffocating silence that had haunted Raven Hollow for months. His phone? Still no signal. Compass? Still pointing north. But his instincts, screaming at him to leave. And yet, he didn't. As he continued deeper into the woods, Alex began to notice something else. Patterns. Branches broken at shoulder height. moss worn away from repeated steps, a faint trail, just barely there. Someone had been coming through this path, a lot, and they weren't just passing through. They had a destination. About 20 minutes later, the trail opened into a clearing. At the center stood something out of place, a wooden cabin, weathered, gray, tin roof rusted over, windows boarded shut. Alex's breath caught in his throat. He'd lived in Raven Hollow all his life, but he'd never heard of any cabin this deep in the forest. He stepped forward carefully. No tire tracks, no paths, no mailbox. But someone had been here, recently. At the door, he saw them, scratch marks, dozens of them, tiny claw marks trailing along the bottom of the frame. Alex crouched, ran his fingers along the grooves. They weren't old. They weren't from wild animals. They were dog claws, trying to get in or trying to get out. He circled the cabin, looking for a window, a way to peek inside. Something. That's when he found it. A trap door hidden behind overgrown brush, rusty hinges, wooden frame. It creaked open under his grip. A set of stairs led downward. Cold air rushed up, carrying the smell of damp earth, mabou, and metal. Alex pulled out his flashlight, clicked it on. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing steep steps carved from concrete. He hesitated just for a second, then began to descend. That's when he saw them. Paw prints, dozens of them, embedded in dried mud, some big, some small, all of them headed down. Halfway down the stairs, Alex froze. A noise, metal, a clang, then scratching, faint, but real, coming from somewhere below. His heart hammered, his mind screamed to leave, but he kept going, carefully, quietly. At the bottom, the stairs opened into a long, narrow corridor. Cold concrete, metal doors, thick locks. Alex swept his flashlight across the hallway. Then, he heard it. A soft whimper, followed by desperate scratching. He rushed to the nearest door, pressed his ear to the steel. Dogs, trapped inside. Just as he backed away to think, footsteps. Above him, heavy, deliberate. Someone had entered the cabin. Alex quickly killed the flashlight, pressed himself into the shadows. A bright light swept down the stairs. A figure followed. Tall, broad-shouldered, face hidden beneath a hood, keys jangling in one hand. The man stopped right next to Alex's hiding spot, unlocked one of the doors. Inside, Alex saw a thin, trembling Labrador huddled in the corner. The man grabbed it by the collar, dragged it out. The dog whimpered, tail tucked tightly. Alex watched, frozen. He couldn't stop it. Not yet. But now he knew. The dogs were here, alive, and someone was keeping them locked away beneath the forest. Alex Carter stayed frozen in the shadows, his breath caught in his chest. Less than 6 feet away, the hooded man dragged the Labrador down the corridor, the dog's whimpers echoing off the concrete walls. The man's boots struck the floor with slow, practiced steps. He wasn't in a hurry, he wasn't afraid. He'd done this before. Alex waited, listening. The footsteps faded, then climbed the stairs. Then silence. Again. Only after a full minute passed did Alex dare to breathe. He switched on his flashlight, just a sliver of light, and scanned the doors. One thing was certain. He had to get those dogs out. Alex tried one door, locked, another, still locked. He needed a key, or a crowbar, or a miracle. At the end of the hall, he noticed something different. A door left slightly ajar. Inside, a small office. The room was cramped, lit by a flickering bulb overhead. A desk, cluttered with papers. A bulletin board filled with photos of dogs, names, dates, breeds. and two haunting words repeated again and again. Test completed. On one wall, surveillance monitors showed live footage from around the cabin. The woods, the staircase, the hallway Alex was standing in. Someone had been watching everything. Hanging on the wall, a ring of keys. Alex grabbed them, shoving papers into his bag as fast as he could. Then, one of the monitors flickered. It showed someone approaching the cabin from the trees. A familiar figure. Liam, the boy who had led Alex to the truth. He was walking straight into danger. Alex bolted from the office, raced down the hall. He tried one of the cell doors. Click. It opened. A golden retriever stumbled out, confused but alive. Alex whispered, "Go." "Run." Then another cell. Another dog. Whimpers turned to barks, barks to howls. Chaos was building. Alex ran to the trapdoor and climbed out into the twilight. There, at the edge of the clearing, stood Liam, eyes wide, frozen in place. Alex rushed over. "Liam, you shouldn't be here," he said, gripping the boy's shoulders. "It's not safe." But just as they turned toward the trees, headlights. A black SUV roared into the clearing, blocking their path. From the vehicle stepped a man, tall, hooded, the same figure from below. But now, in the fading light, Alex saw his face clearly. His breath caught. It was Sheriff Granger. "You shouldn't have come here," Granger said coldly, his voice calm, controlled, but razor-sharp. Another man stepped out beside him, Deputy Ross, his second-in-command. Alex took a slow step back, shielding Liam behind him. "Why?" Alex demanded. "Why the dogs? Why all of this?" Granger sighed as if exhausted. "You wouldn't understand. It's bigger than this town. Bigger than you. Number, what you've done is sick. These dogs, they're not experiments. They're family. They're assets," Granger snapped. "They're part of something that can save lives. You think small, Alex. You always have." "You destroyed this town," Alex growled. "You broke its heart." "Deputy," Granger ordered. "Take them." Ross hesitated, just for a moment. His eyes flicked between Alex, Liam, and the sheriff. Then he stepped forward. But Alex was faster. He grabbed Liam's hand and yelled, "Run!" They tore into the woods. Behind them, Granger shouted, "Don't let them get away!" The trees swallowed them in seconds, but the hunt had begun. Alex Carter and Liam sprinted through the trees, branches clawing at their faces, adrenaline pounding through their veins. Behind them, flashlights bobbed in the dark. Shouts echoed through the woods. They were being hunted. Alex pushed through thick brush, keeping Liam close. "Stay with me," he whispered harshly. But they were running out of ground, out of time. After what felt like forever, Alex stopped behind a large pine, crouching. Both of them were gasping, lungs on fire. "Liam," he said between breaths, "you know these woods better than I do. Is there anywhere we can hide?" Liam nodded quickly. "There's an old treehouse by the creek, hidden behind rocks. We used to play there." "Lead the way," Alex said, and they were off again. The treehouse was exactly where Liam said it would be, tucked behind boulders and half covered in ivy. It stood high in a massive oak, rickety but still intact. Alex helped Liam up first, then climbed quickly behind him. They crawled inside the small wooden structure. Darkness wrapped around them. The forest below, silent. Too silent. Alex pulled out his phone. Still no signal. Beside him, Liam sat trembling. "What do we do now?" he whispered. Alex put a steady hand on his shoulder. "We wait. Until it's safe. Then we expose everything." Outside, the stars blinked coldly through the canopy. Somewhere beneath them, Sheriff Granger was still searching. Then, light. A flashlight beam swept across the forest floor beneath them. A voice followed. Calm. Chilling. "You think hiding will help, Alex?" "I know every inch of this forest. You're not getting out." Alex froze. He gently covered Liam's mouth with his hand. The boy's breath trembled against his palm. Granger circled the tree. Slow. Deliberate. "Think about the kid, Alex. You really want his blood on your hands?" Alex's grip tightened. Rage and fear clashed in his chest. But eventually, the flashlight faded. Granger moved on. Alex waited in silence, counted to 100, then whispered, "Time to go." Step by step, they climbed down the ladder. Every creak echoed like a scream. Back on the ground, they crept through the darkness. Slowly, carefully. The lights of Raven Hollow were somewhere beyond the trees. Then Liam froze. He tugged on Alex's sleeve. "Do you hear that?" Alex paused, and then he heard it too, barking, distant, faint, but real. Liam's eyes lit up. "That's Scout. I know his bark." Alex's heart clenched. Going toward the sound meant risking everything, but it also meant a chance to free the dogs. He knelt beside Liam, looked him in the eyes. "Liam, you have to run. Go home. Tell your parents everything. Bring help." "But what about you?" the boy asked, voice shaking. Alex forced a smile. "I'll be fine. But those dogs? They need us now." Liam hugged him tightly, tears in his eyes, then turned and disappeared into the woods, heading home. Alex turned toward the sound of barking. His legs ached, his lungs burned. But he ran, back into the darkness, toward the cabin, toward the trap door, toward the heart of the nightmare. Alex Carter ran toward the sound of barking, deeper into the woods, toward the place he swore he'd never return to alone. But the dogs were still down there, and now he had no choice. He had to get them out. The clearing was quiet when he arrived. The black SUV sat where it had been before, parked like a threat. No lights, no movement. Alex crept around the back of the cabin, ducking low. His boots sank into the cold earth. The trap door was still there, slightly ajar, as if it had been waiting for him. Alex pulled it open and slipped inside, closing it behind him. The whimpers hit him first, then the smell, fear, metal, and something bitter and wrong. He rushed down the stairs, flashlight cutting through the dark. When he reached the corridor, the barking exploded into full chaos. Dozens of dogs, some he recognized, terrified, hungry, trapped. Alex bolted into the office, grabbed the keys from the wall. Door by door, he opened the cells. The dogs poured out, barking, yelping, jumping with joy and confusion. Scout was one of them, Liam's dog, thin, filthy, but alive. "Good boy," Alex whispered, rubbing his head. "We're going home." He led the dogs toward the stairs. A growing crowd of furry survivors pushing past him in a tidal wave of noise. But just as they reached the base of the staircase, a voice rang out. "Did you really think it'd be that easy?" Sheriff Granger stood at the top of the stairs, gun drawn, expression hard as stone. Behind him, Deputy Ross appeared, pale and shaking. Alex froze, shielded the dogs behind him. "Step away from them," Granger ordered. Alex didn't move. "It's over, Sheriff. Liam's gone to get help. The town will know everything." Granger laughed coldly. "They'll know what I tell them. Dangerous trespasser. Dogs found too late. You'll be gone before they ever get here." The safety clicked off. Granger raised the gun. But before he could fire, Alex lunged. The gun went off. The ceiling cracked with the bullet. The dogs scattered, barking wildly. Alex tackled Granger to the ground. The weapon skidded across the floor and vanished under a cell door. They fought, grappling on the cold floor, rage, desperation, and years of betrayal colliding. "Help me, Ross!" Granger yelled, but the deputy hesitated. For a moment, the world paused. Ross looked at Alex, then at the terrified dogs, and something inside him cracked. "No," Ross said softly, then louder. "Number it ends here." Ross pulled Granger off Alex and pinned him down. "Get the dogs out!" he shouted. Alex didn't wait. He herded the animals toward the stairs, up and out into the night. And just as they burst into the clearing, flashlights appeared. Dozens of them. The townspeople, led by Liam, armed with nothing but resolve. People shouted in joy. "Charlie! Milo! Scout!" Tears flowed. Dogs barked joyfully. Liam ran to Scout and hugged him tight. "You did it!" the boy cried. "You saved him!" Alex knelt beside him, overwhelmed. "So did you," he said. "You brought the town back to life." Dogs raced into the arms of their families. Tears streamed down faces. Laughter and barks echoed through the clearing in Raven Hollow's woods. The town had shown up, led by a brave little boy, and a mailman who refused to stop asking questions. For the first time in a year, hope returned. But just as relief began to settle in, gunshots rang out. The townspeople screamed. Alex spun around, heart hammering. Sheriff Granger emerged from the cabin, breath ragged, gun raised. Behind him, Deputy Ross stumbled out, bleeding from the shoulder. "Get away!" Ross shouted weakly. "He's gone mad!" The crowd froze. Granger's wild eyes scanned the group. "You don't understand!" he shouted. "None of you understand what's at stake." Alex stepped forward slowly, hands raised. "It's over, Sheriff. You can still walk away." "You ruined everything," Granger spat. "You destroyed years of work." Then Liam stepped forward, small, steady, brave. "No," he said. "You did that. You hurt Scout. You hurt our town." For a moment, Granger paused. His gun dipped slightly, his eyes locked onto the boy. Something cracked in his expression. Regret, pain, recognition. "Put it down," Alex said softly. "You can't undo what's happened, but you can stop it from getting worse." Granger's hand trembled. The clearing held its breath. Then, sirens. Red and blue lights flickered through the trees. State police. Backup. Witnesses. Panic overtook him. "No," Granger muttered. "No, this wasn't how it was supposed to end." He raised the gun, not at anyone else, but at himself. "No!" Alex shouted. But before Granger could pull the trigger, Deputy Ross tackled him from behind. The shot went wild, exploding into the night sky. Granger hit the dirt hard, groaning as the weapon skidded away. Officers swarmed the scene. Granger was cuffed and pulled to his feet, defeated, broken. As he passed Alex, he whispered, "I never wanted this. I just thought it would help." Alex didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Flashlights dimmed. The chaos faded. People gathered around Liam and Alex. They hugged their dogs, thanked them over and over. Deputy Ross sat nearby, bandaged, face filled with guilt. "I should have stopped him sooner," he murmured. Alex placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did the right thing when it mattered." As dawn crept over the horizon, Alex sat on the back of his mail truck. Liam leaned against him. Scout nestled between them. "Do you think it's really over?" Liam asked. Alex looked out at the soft morning light touching the treetops. "For now," he said. "But if it ever isn't, we'll be ready." In the days following Sheriff Granger's arrest, Raven Hollow began to breathe again. Dogs returned to homes, families healed, kids played in yards like they used to. But for Alex Carter, the questions hadn't stopped, because this was never just about missing pets. It was about what Granger had been hiding, and who he'd been hiding it for. Granger refused to talk, his eyes hollow, his voice distant. But the underground facility had already told its story. When state authorities searched the cabin, they found files, lots of them, experiments, charts, medical data, surveillance logs, and something even worse. Tucked in a locked drawer of the office desk, a notebook, Granger's personal journal. In it, he documented months of activity, dog breeds, genetics, behavior tests, each animal selected for specific traits, obedience, agility, intelligence. They weren't just testing dogs, they were trying to engineer them for something else. But the most chilling discovery? The repeated mention of one phrase, Project Echo, a name Alex had never heard before. And yet, it sounded like something that wasn't meant for small towns or domestic animals. It sounded military. On one page, scrawled in red ink, Project Abandoned, Dispose of Evidence, Protect Identities. Alex sat at the Raven Hollow police station with investigator Clara Bennett, the state officer leading the case. She flipped through the files slowly, jaw tight. "This isn't just about Granger," she said. "He had funding, supplies, equipment no town sheriff should have had access to." "You think it goes higher?" Alex asked. Clara nodded grimly. "Much higher. Someone gave him this technology and they didn't want it traced back." That night, back at his home, Alex sat alone at the kitchen table, surrounded by files, photos, and names. Then, his phone buzzed. Blocked number. He answered. A voice came through, distorted, cold, artificial. "Alex Carter, you've seen enough. Destroy the evidence, or you'll regret it." Click. Silence. Alex locked every window, drew every curtain. The warmth of Raven Hollow was gone again, replaced by something colder. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The warning call echoed in Alex Carter's mind. "Destroy the evidence, or you'll regret it." He didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the house, every gust of wind, made him jump. And outside, the street was too quiet. Something, or someone, was watching. On the table lay everything he had. Photos, Granger's journal, the surveillance footage, and that name written again and again. Project Echo, a classified operation funded by unknown sources, using dogs for something far more dangerous than obedience training. Granger was just a pawn. The real players, still in the shadows. Alex paced the room. Who could he trust? Not local authorities, not anyone tied to Granger's old network. He thought of just one name, Daniel Ellis, a friend from college, now an investigative journalist known for exposing government cover-ups. Alex grabbed his keys, stuffed everything into a backpack, and hit the road before sunrise. The drive was long, 2 hours through winding country roads, always checking his mirrors. He arrived at Daniel's apartment just after dawn. "Alex?" Daniel blinked, surprised. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Worse," Alex replied. "I brought it with me." Over coffee and cold morning light, Alex laid everything out. Sheriff Granger wasn't just experimenting. He was executing a black ops program, genetic selection, obedience testing, surveillance on private citizens. It was all part of something called Project Echo. Daniel flipped through the files, his eyes growing wider. "This is huge," he muttered, "and dangerous." He looked up, dead serious. "You realize you just made yourself a target?" They barely had time to react. Alex's phone buzzed again, another blocked number. He answered, the same distorted voice. "You didn't listen. You're not safe, and neither is your friend." The call ended. And almost immediately, headlights. A dark sedan pulled slowly up in front of the apartment. "Grab the files!" Daniel shouted. They bolted out the back door, cutting through alleys and backyards. Alex clutched the backpack like it held his life. Behind them, footsteps, doors slamming, voices. "We have to split up," Daniel panted. "They want you, not me. I'll draw them off." "I'm not leaving you," Alex snapped. "We don't have time to argue. Go!" And just like that, they split. Alex ran through unfamiliar woods, the moon barely lighting his path. Every branch felt like a trap, every shadow a threat. When he finally collapsed behind a fallen log, gasping for air, he looked down at the pack clutched in his hands. Inside it lay the truth, and the key to tearing Project Echo apart. But now, he was alone. And the people behind it? They weren't finished yet. Alex Carter didn't sleep, didn't stop moving. For 2 days, he wandered back roads and tree lines. Never the same place twice, never close to home. Project Echo had found him once. They'd do it again, unless he found them first. By the third night, Alex was deep in the northern woodlands, camped out under a tarp. No signal, no noise, just wind, crickets, his own heartbeat. His only companion, the files, and the unanswered question pulsing louder by the hour. Who was behind Project Echo? He reread Granger's journal under red flashlight, notes scribbled in fear, paranoia. "I was promised funding, promised no one would ever know. They gave me everything, and now they're watching me too. Code names only, contacts listed under. Gray Sky. Gray Sky. Not a person. A protocol. Possibly a clearance level. Possibly a cover for something worse." That night, Alex noticed movement. A flicker of light through the trees. Then another. Someone with night vision. Someone trained. He grabbed the pack, doused the fire, and vanished into the brush. They had found him. Again. They moved in teams. Small, silent, efficient. Alex slipped behind an old ravine, crawling through mud and thorns. He reached a creek and used the current to mask his trail, wading knee-deep until he found shelter beneath a fallen oak. There he waited, soaked, frozen, silent. It worked. The lights faded. The footsteps drifted away. He'd slipped through, for now. That night, he made a decision. No more running. If Project Echo wanted to erase him, he had to strike first. He needed public exposure, mass attention, something no secret group could silence. There was only one place he knew he could go, back to the town where it all began. Raven Hollow. At sunrise, Alex made his way back into familiar territory. He moved by side roads, avoided main routes. By afternoon, he reached a quiet barn on the outskirts, one of the old hideouts used during the rescue mission. And waiting there, Liam and investigator Clara Bennett. "We've been trying to find you for days," Clara said. "The state wants to bury this, but I won't let them." Alex handed her the pack. "Then help me expose it. Everything. Now." She nodded, eyes fierce. "We're going to need a secure location and national coverage. If they're watching, we'll need to make it loud." "Good," Alex replied. "Let them hear us coming." Alex Carter had run far enough. Now it was time to fight. With investigator Clara Bennett by his side, and young Liam, the boy who started it all, Alex prepared to do what Sheriff Granger couldn't: expose Project Echo. They met in an old farmhouse, repurposed as a secure communications hub. No internet. No direct connections. Clara had brought a satellite uplink, untraceable and fast. "We'll transmit everything to 5 journalists in 5 cities," she explained. "They'll all get it at the same time. Raw files. No filters." Alex laid the documents out like a war map: surveillance logs, dog test records, genetic targeting memos. Once this goes live, Clara warned, they'll know where we are. Then let them come, Alex said. The files started transferring. Gigabytes of evidence, names, images, recordings, footage from the underground kennels, photos of dogs marked test completed, and one folder labeled only ECHO, Human Interface Prototypes. Clara flinched. They weren't just training animals, she whispered. They were preparing for integration, war fighting, full obedience overrides. Alex stared at the screen. They were building soldiers, and they were starting with pets. File 1 of 5, sent file 2 of 5, sent. The satellite hummed. The files raced across encrypted pathways. File 3 of 5, sent then, a power surge. The screen flickered. Clara cursed. They're jamming us. How many made it out? Alex asked. 3, she replied. Maybe 4. It was enough. The world now had a piece of Project Echo. Just as they started packing up, a quiet click at the back door. Then, glass shattered. They had been found. Clara drew her pistol. Move! Now! Alex grabbed Liam and the backpack. They slipped out a rear cellar door as black SUVs screeched into the gravel driveway. Agents in black stormed the house seconds later. Deep in the woods, they hid beneath the roots of an ancient oak. Rain began to fall. Software. Cold. Relentless. Clara checked her phone. It's trending, she whispered. The files are spreading. International outlets are picking it up. Echo is out. For the first time in days, Alex exhaled. We did it. But Clara shook her head. Number. We've only just lit the match. Project Echo had been exposed. The files were out. The headlines were loud. And for a moment, it felt like the good guys had won. But Alex Carter knew better. Systems like Echo don't go quietly. Within 24 hours, major networks were reporting the story. Illegal animal testing linked to defense project. Whistleblower reveals hidden facility beneath forest. Project Echo, rogue experiment, or government oversight. Public outrage boiled over. Pet owners protested in front of state buildings. Lawmakers demanded answers. But the people behind Echo? They didn't respond with statements. They responded with silence. The first to disappear was a veterinary assistant mentioned in Granger's notes. Then, a courier listed on the surveillance logs. One by one, those connected to Echo were silenced. Clara Bennett got the message loud and clear. They're cleaning house, she told Alex. We're next. That night, while regrouping at another safe location, Clara got a call. From a restricted federal line. She stepped out to take it. Minutes passed, then more. When Alex peeked through the window, Clara was gone. Her phone left behind. In its place, a sticky note with just 3 words. They know everything. Alex's chest tightened. His mind spun. Had Clara been taken? Or had she switched sides? Was she protecting him or trading him? Then a buzz from her abandoned phone. A message appeared on screen. Run! They're coming! Alex didn't wait. He grabbed Liam and the evidence, now stored on multiple backup drives. As they slipped into the night, a black SUV turned onto the road. No headlights, no sound. But Alex knew the rhythm of this chase by now. They were never far behind. As they fled, Alex reviewed the last batch of files Clara had decrypted. That's when he found it. A list of authorized partners. One name stood out. Gray Sky Holdings, Division 7, not a government branch, a private defense contractor, shielded from oversight, funded by black budget deals, connected to Echo from the beginning. And guess what? Their regional office? Less than 2 hours from Raven Hollow. Alex looked at Liam. "We're not running anymore," he said. "We're going straight to the source." For the first time, Liam didn't flinch. He simply nodded. "Let's end this. Gray Sky Holdings." A name buried deep inside Project Echo's encrypted files. Not a government agency, not a public-facing company, just a name attached to funding, prototypes, and silence. But it was real, and Alex Carter was going straight to its front door. Gray Sky's regional headquarters was disguised as an R&D building. Tinted glass, private security, no logo. Alex and Liam scoped it out from a diner across the street. "Looks boring," Liam said, sipping orange soda. "That's how you know it's dangerous," Alex replied. That night, they moved. Alex wore a delivery uniform. Liam carried a backup drive in his coat, just in case. They slipped past the outer gate during a late-night shift change, using forged IDs Clara had left behind. Inside, sterile hallways, keypads, cameras in every corner. The kind of place where secrets live behind every steel door. They followed Granger's recovered blueprints to a sub-level. In a dim corridor marked Restricted Division 7, they found it. A biometric vault. Alex stared at the scanner. "We need a match to get in," he whispered. Liam looked up, then pointed at a glass-walled lab nearby. "Someone in there can get us access." They waited until a lone technician stepped into the hallway. Alex approached calmly, holding up a folder. "Lost package for Dr. Hendricks. Need a signature." The man hesitated, confused. Then Liam jabbed him with a sedative dart Clara had provided. Minutes later, the vault door clicked open using the man's palm. What they saw inside froze them. Rows of hard drives, surveillance reels, and genetic material cataloged by breed, behavior, and response data. Each tray labeled with 2 words, Echo Asset, and in the center of the room, a touchscreen console displaying live test logs. A file opened automatically. Echo Human Adaptive Model Phase 3, deployment ready. Launch sequence, pending authorization. Alex read the subtext out loud. They were never going to stop at dogs. They copied everything, footage, blueprints, documents. But as they turned to leave, an alarm triggered. Sirens howled. Red lights flashed. "They're locking the building," Alex said. "We'll never get out the way we came," Liam added. "Then we make a new way." They raced upstairs, dodging guards. On the rooftop, a helicopter hovered in the distance, too far to reach. Behind them, voices shouted, "Freeze!" Alex handed Liam the backup drive. "Hide! If I don't make it, get this out!" "No," Liam snapped. "We finish this together." Before Alex could argue, a voice boomed from the rooftop loudspeaker. "You've made your point, Mr. Carter, but this ends now." From the shadows emerged a man in a gray coat, calm, smiling, cold. "I'm the one you've been looking for," he said. "Welcome to Echo." On the rooftop of Gray Sky's secret facility, the wind howled like a warning. Before Alex Carter stood the man behind it all, calm, immaculate. The director of Project Echo, not some monster in a lab coat, not a government ghost, just a man in a gray suit with eyes that had seen too much and cared too little. "You've come far," the director said. "Very few make it this far, and even fewer understand what they're looking at." Alex's jaw tightened. "I understand enough. You turn living beings into tools." The director nodded. "As we always have. Horses, dogs, even humans. We evolve, we adapt. Project Echo is the next step." "You think this is about war?" the director continued. "Echo is about control, In a world too chaotic to survive, we offer certainty. By brainwashing animals? Alex asked, disgusted. The director smiled faintly. Not just animals. You've seen the files. Phase 3 was never about dogs. It was about what comes after. A screen flickered to life behind him. Human neurological scans, overlaid with obedience metrics. Echo was the rehearsal, he said. The real project starts now. But here's the good news, the director said, stepping forward. You win. The world knows. The files are out. He tapped the air like it was a chessboard. Which means we disappear and start again. Better, quieter, unless, he turned to Alex. Unless you help us. Alex blinked. What? Come work with us. Help shape it ethically, guide the transition, become the conscience this project lacks. Or, he raised a hand. Watch us reset, without you, in a dozen other towns. Hidden behind the rooftop access door, Liam listened, heart pounding. He clutched the flash drive like it was life itself. He knew Alex, knew he'd never say yes, but the pause terrified him. I've seen what you do to people who say no, Alex said. The director nodded. And I've seen what happens when people like you get tired of losing. A long silence. Then, you're right about one thing, Alex said. I'm tired. Good, the director said. Then maybe you're ready to... Tired of running. Alex reached into his coat, pulled out a flare gun, aimed it at the sky, and fired. The flare burst above them, glowing red across the city skyline. Seconds later, helicopters, news vans, dozens of lights sweeping over the rooftop. Clara had triggered the full media blitz. Everything was live. Every word the director spoke was broadcast in real time. The director's face fell, not rage, not panic, just disappointment. Clever, he muttered. Armed officers swarmed the building. The director raised his hands. We'll see each other again, Alex, he said calmly as they cuffed him. Ideas don't die. They evolve. As the sun rose over Raven Hollow, Alex, Liam, and Clara stood in silence on the roof. Below, the world was watching. Above, the sky was finally clear. Liam tugged on Alex's sleeve. Is it really over? Alex looked down at him and smiled. No, he said, but for now, we've stopped the echo. The world watched as the truth unraveled. News anchors struggled to keep up. Politicians scrambled for explanations. But the people, they understood. Project Echo was real, and thanks to a mailman, a boy, and one persistent investigator, the silence had finally been broken. In Raven Hollow, fences came down. Dogs ran freely again. Kids laughed louder, and people finally looked each other in the eye without fear. Liam was a hero. His story spread across the internet. A 6-year-old who led a grown man into the woods and helped save them all. Scout never left his side again. Alex Carter returned to his route. A familiar satchel, quiet mornings, letters instead of secrets. He no longer feared the woods. Some days he even walked past the edge of the trees, just to remind himself that shadows don't always win. Clara Bennett left the agency, started her own task force, independent, underfunded, but unstoppable. She named it the Echo Watch, because as she said, just because a storm ends doesn't mean it's gone. 1 month later, Alex received a plain white envelope. No return address, no stamp, just waiting on his porch. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed, cold, familiar. Echo lives in algorithms now, in data, in silence. You may have stopped the forest, but can you stop the world? Alex folded the letter carefully, slipped it into his jacket, and for the first time in weeks, he smiled. Because some echoes fade, But others? Others get answered.